Hi, this is Celeste Barnett, Assistant Principal at San Diego Academy, and today we have with us.
Ann Nebelon. I'm one of the counselors.
And today we're going to be talking about sexting and safety. And I wanted to ask Anne why this topic. It's a little bit different than the topics we've talked about before. We've talked about more things more closely related to mental health, wellness. Why sexting?
Well, this topic came up because I was having a conversation with one of our pals, and he expressed that it it's a real problem on this campus. And it made me think back to a couple years ago. I had done sort of an informal survey where I asked groups of kids that I was working with if they have ever either sent a sext, received a sext, or have been asked to send one.
Mm-hmm.
And through doing that poll, I came up with it's about 60% of our kids were doing it.
Wow. Here at SDA.
Here at SDA students.
Wow.
And so, we had some more conversations around that, but since the student I was talking to had some concerns too, we decided to do a little bit more education around that and provide this presentation for you, as well as there is one very similar to this one, but more directed towards our students that will be available for them also.
Great. So there'll be a student education component and then this parent education component. And then I know you often recommend that parents, after they've watched one of these webinars, that if they're comfortable, they sit down with their student and make it a discussion point, right?
Well, ideally, yes. I would hope that providing this information, these resources for parents and families is going to be used as a communication tool. So you don't have to go find all the information, figure everything out. Here you go. Here's some basic information. And this presentation has 11 slides, which includes the resources. So it's very doable to sit down and have a conversation, talk about these different things, see if you agree or disagree, because some of them are kind of, some of these presentations will have some personal choice and certain beliefs and stuff, but they're meant to be informational and then used as a discussion tool.
Okay. So is sexting really a problem? I bet I know the answer.
Well, of course it is, because of course I did the informal survey and came up with 60%, and the data shows that more than half of all teens have been involved in a sexting event. And that includes having sent one themselves, have been asked to send one, or have received one. So in your conversations with your teen about the use of their phones, please include a discussion on sexting, because that's where it's happening.
And what is it exactly?
So it's the sending of nude images or sexually suggestive messages electronically. And that can go together. The most common is text messaging, which includes a picture and, of course, some kind of dialogue too. But there's social media, chat boards, email, any time that something is sent electronically.
And talking to my teens, I think it tends to happen a lot, like you've said before, through text messages, but also Snapchat.
Yes.
Yes. Kids are a lot of times under the impression that those messages evaporate, and they sort of do, but nothing has ever gone completely. And even though on Snapchat, if someone takes a screenshot of an image, the person who posted it originally supposedly gets a message, but it's super easy for them to just show that to somebody else or take a picture with another phone and you would never know. So kids may tell you that they're really safe if it's just on Snapchat, but they're not.
They're not. That is not true.
Right.
And that seems to be one of the main ones now is Snapchat. TikTok is big, but that's videos. And I can't imagine how they wouldn't be doing it via sending a sext via a video, which I guess would have a whole different name.
Right.
But it's paying attention to all those things,
platforms,
because sexting is illegal. If there's a minor involved, it is always illegal for a minor. And sexting can be classified as child pornography, which is a felony and can be punishable by a minimum of 5 years in prison, depending on the circumstances, even if you're a minor. So it's something to take seriously.
Absolutely.
So here's some stats. 11% of teens admit they've sent pictures to strangers. That's 11% that are admitting it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do receive more than, I think the number's higher for the number that kids have received.
Mm-hmm.
And then 80% of teens who have sexted are under the age of 18.
Wow.
80%.
Wow.
12% of teen girls feel pressured to sext, which really, that's really concerning to me, because girls need to be taught, well, all kids need to be taught that they shouldn't be pressured into doing anything that they're uncomfortable doing. And even though they may think a sext is harmless and only that other person will see it, you don't know that to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So 50% of teens reported having been asked to send a sext. And 38% of girls, 39% of boys say they have had sexually suggestive text messages or emails shared with them that were originally meant for someone else.
So they're just receiving a message that they didn't solicit from anybody, sort of accidentally came to them, and they're seeing this information.
Correct.
Wow.
It could also be somebody, out in the internet world sending stuff out, trying to lure people
grooming.
too. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so we kind of went over this, that sexting is illegal for all minors. In a relationship where one partner is 18 or older and one is a minor, that older partner can be charged with serious sex crimes and go to prison for up to 30 years. Sending pictures of anyone without their consent could fall under California's revenge pornography law, which is basically, that law is just basically that you cannot send those types of pictures without the person's consent.
Right.
And then we say that, but then if it's a minor involved, it's always illegal.
Right. Wow. Okay, what about the risks?
I think there's a lot of risks. Definitely losing respect and trust with parents, with family members, with friends. There's the possibility of getting in trouble with the law, getting in trouble at school.
Right. If anything's being sent on like a school Chromebook or even viewed that way, then it's violating the acceptable use agreement, and that's where the school can get involved.
Exactly. And there's a risk of the possibility of those images being leaked on the internet and getting in the hands of people that you don't want to see them. And I think one of the biggest is compromising themselves and their reputation for a relationship. I would hope that no student would feel like they had to do this. They had to send a nude picture to keep their partner in the relationship happy. They should be able to say, no, I'm not comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And that be okay.
Yeah.
So some prevention things to think about is basically never take photos of yourself that you wouldn't want everyone to see. And I think a lot of us do that nowadays. Before sending an email, we reread it. We want to make sure, is it appropriate? Is it professional? Is it kind? Is it whatever? But we look at that, we consider that. It's kind of the same thing. If you're going to take a photo of yourself, even if if you don't think it's that suggestive, it could still be kind of marginally inappropriate. That you really want to think about, if this photo got out, would I be okay if everybody saw that, including my parents?
Right. Or a college admissions counselor, because you've told me before they're looking more and more at social media accounts.
They are.
A future employer.
They are. People Google people.
Yeah.
And stuff comes up, and people are looking at social media accounts. So you got to keep it really appropriate. And so before hitting send, remember that you can't control where this image may travel. Even though you are only sending it to one other person, you don't know. What if you hit the wrong button? It goes to the wrong person. What if that person, you break up with them and they are like showing everybody they know?
Right.
You have no control over them. If you meet someone online, don't always trust that they are who they say they are. That is the number one biggest warning, I think, because a lot of people out there in chat rooms and all those social media sites, there's a lot of people out there that are presenting themselves as someone they are not,
Mm-hmm.
as a way to lure
Right.
attention from
Right.
teens and children. So stay alert and aware when using social media and be cautious.
Okay, and what about if you receive a message from someone?
Well, don't send it to anyone else. Bottom line, delete it immediately and consider blocking that person's number.
Mm-hmm.
Also consider telling a trusted adult or a pal, because I think the lesson with it is not like they're so bad because they're doing this, but it's a lesson in self-respect,
Mm-hmm.
what they're comfortable with, what do they want in a relationship, and really a discussion about what is a healthy relationship would be such an amazing conversation to have with your teen. And so for me, it's not focusing on maybe they did this and something got out, as much as going through some of the things, some of the risk factors and some of the consequences, and then make it a opportunity to learn about having self-respect,
Right.
and really thinking about what you want in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Never feel pressured to send explicit pictures of yourself to another person, even if it's your boyfriend or girlfriend. Never feel pressured. Only do what you are comfortable doing. And with that said, if you're comfortable sending a sext to someone, I would say don't even do that, because you should be able to be in a healthy relationship without having to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Block anyone that sends you an inappropriate picture or text. Stop immediately. Do not respond. Block them and be done.
Mm-hmm.
Then take your time with a new relationship. Time will usually help you get to know a person better. Nothing like time will let you know if you can really trust that person, if they can trust you, if they're really in it because they care about you.
Mm-hmm.
If there are any problems, talk to a professional if needed, a counselor, a therapist, and then allow yourself to have a healthy relationship in every way. That means it's a relationship based on trust, respect, and supporting each other. And you can go back to SDA's Parent Education webpage and review or view the Healthy Relationships presentation that we created.
Great.
So in summary, sexting is always risky, both personally and with the law. And all teens deserve a relationship based on mutual respect. As a parent, you want to be sure to listen, stay calm, don't overreact. Because if you set yourself up to be that kind of a parent that your teen knows they can come to you because you're just going to zip it and listen, and you're going to stay calm, and you're not going to overreact, you'll be able to be somebody that they'll really want to talk to. And we want you to be the person your teen knows they can come to. That's really important. So we have a few references and resources here for you. The top two, I think, are really important because it gives you a little bit more detailed information about the laws.
Oh, good.
And then the other ones are just some general information.
Some of the places that you got some of the statistics and things like that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I always ask you, what are the main takeaways you would want either families or students to know after they've listened to this?
I hope that there's an increased awareness on what sexting is and the risks around it. And I sure hope you heard that it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
It just isn't worth it. And to put a focus on a healthy relationship instead of feeding into all the crazy stuff that happens around social media. Focus on having a healthy relationship and not compromising yourself.
Excellent. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you for listening.